welcome. Tonight, we want to talk about a special child of Milford, who was, who is, who will always be a special child to many people in Milford. We've been blessed in this town with so many wonderful kids. We're coming up on a year, and we want to talk a little bit about what this child, especially this child, meant to us, but in general, what all the children. I mean, if you're one of the 6 who's watched our school shows, you'll hear us talk about how we have 4,500 kids in the Milford school system. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, not one of them is any more special or less special. Some of them just touch your heart a little deeper than others. I'm going to stop and let you start with introductions.
Jennifer Walsh from Milford School System, work in special ed.
Hi, and I'm Joe Xenos. I'm Aaron Xenos' grandfather, and I'm also part of the Milford School System.
And I will disagree with you.
What?
I work in special ed. You are Milford special ed. I mean,
you.
we think of special ed, there's 2 or 3 people we think of, and yours is the first picture. Look in the dictionary, there it is, referenced.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
He was, is, will always be special.
Absolutely. Aaron, tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of his passing. He was a very, very special individual. He was part of a family that loved him dearly. He always put a smile on anyone's face. He was a person that advocated so much for individuals with special needs, intellectual disabilities, developmental disabilities. He learned that very early in life because he hung around with his uncle Mark, who was very much involved with Special Olympics in Milford. But he saw Mark, he knew Mark, he advocated for him, he played with him, he shot baskets with him, he did everything. And he learned early on that everyone deserves the opportunity to compete and to have fun and be a kid. He always advocated for the one that needed it most, not only special athletes or special individuals, but even his peers. He always would look for the person that was lonely. He always want to spend some time with them, and he became their friends. So he was really, really special in that respect.
But the whole Xenos family is so tied to Special Olympics.
Well, let me tell you, it's an interesting story. When we moved into this area, I grew up in the city of Boston, and through work, I ended up in New Jersey, but I had an opportunity to come back up here. And we came up here, and I moved into Hopedale. And Hopedale didn't have the programs for my son, Mark. So we came to Milford, and I met Jennifer Walsh, probably a month into the fact that we had transferred him into Milford High School. And Jennifer was starting basically the Special Olympics program here. And Mark had participated in New Jersey, very proactive with Special Olympics. But, we went to, the first time she was trying basketball, and I think there was, 5 individuals there. And, Mark loved it, the other kids loved it, and we started participating weekly. And it's evolved into 5 basketball teams, not 5 individuals, and a host of other programs. But we got involved at that point. My son Joe actually came as well and participated and helped with coaching and volunteering with Special Olympics. And that's kind of where it started. And now my wife volunteers, my daughter-in-law Danielle, Aaron's mom, volunteers. Joe coaches Special Olympics. We're very much involved. And in the high school, I coached both the unified basketball and unified track and field teams. So yeah, very, very much involved, but it gives so much back to us And I will never forget what they've done for my son, Mark. I mean, Mark's going to be 41 years old this year, and he's been involved for 21 years. And I'm telling you, he's developed into such a wonderful individual adult. He's always having fun. His disorder says he should have behavioral issues. He has no behavioral issues. And I think a lot of it is the community of Milford and the Special Olympics programs that he's been involved with. So yeah, we've been involved for a long, long time.
When we think about it, can you picture a dance without Mark
No.
and his air guitar or the blown up
And
guitar?
his shades and his
And his
sunglasses.
shades.
That's right. But you know, interesting with that is he wouldn't miss a dance. But the last few years,
He's getting older.
yeah, he's getting older. The crowd's changing. Most of the folks that he would hang and have fun with have moved on to other things. Maybe more things with adult programs. But that's what we're trying to do with the foundation, is to address the needs of the older population. With the younger folks, they have school programs, they have after-school programs. There's a lot of opportunities there. But the others, the ones that move on over after 22, what are they doing? And what can we do to help them build the opportunity to grow, socialize better?
So now the kids can stay in our program till they're 21, right?
In the vocational school program till they're 22. The
22.
day before their 22nd birthday is their last day of school.
Now, what happens then? I mean, God bless, these kids are wonderful. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, you say Mark's a 41-year-old adult male. It's still little Marky.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? God
little
bless
Marky's
him.
not so little anymore. But
I know, but you think of him the first time you saw him in the dance with his
Oh, I know.
guitar strumming around.
Until they're 22, they're entitled to many services, and as they move on as an adult, they have to qualify for certain services, and there's no more entitlement. You have to go out and get it. So if you don't qualify, well, some of them qualify for DDS, some of them don't. Some of them qualify for mass rehab services, and those services don't stay with them. They fade right
Now,
out.
wait a minute. We've got kids who, through no fault of their own, these are wonderful kids who grew up, who aren't able to function at the same level as their peers. And we don't do anything for them? It's 22, we say,
Well,
shoo?
at 22, adult services kick in, so it's a whole different program. And you qualify for services based on your cognitive testing and things like that. So the majority of our kids in the pre-voc and voc program qualify for adult services, but adult services are quite different than the school services.
yeah, I mean, for instance, Mark is at a program, a service provider. He goes there daily. He has programs that he works. So it's a vocational program. He does some job sites. So he's productive. It's what about the social life beyond that? It's, you know, beyond the basketball, beyond the track and field, beyond that. What else are we doing to help socialize with these folks? If they attend the dance, go to those, that's fine. But we want to open up and try to give them a lot more opportunity to spend some of those after-hour times, after the 3 o'clock, and they get home.
Joe,
from
and
these
again,
programs.
pardon my ignorance, but when I think of my sainted mother, she took care of us. Yeah, she took care of me and then my daughters, all the way up until she needed help taking care of her. What happens to individuals that they need a little extra? Who's taking care of them when their parents no longer can take care of them, but actually need help themselves?
Well, that's the age-old question,
Yeah.
and believe me, that's a huge problem. I mean, as a parent, believe me, I worry every day about, you know, what's going to happen to Mark. Now, within our family, I happen to have a couple of the children who want to take care of
Sure.
Mark and will take care of Mark. But there's a lot of individuals out there. It's like, what do you do with
But
them?
is the Xenos family the typical family?
Probably not. I would say that we have my wife is a very doting grandparent, mother. She won't let anything fall through the cracks, but unfortunately, there's a lot of individuals out there that don't have that same support.
And that's what worries me.
Well,
okay?
in today's world, I mean, so Mark has a really good home, but not everybody does. So DDS will, based on need, will place people, but they're getting away from group homes. They're not putting the
What's
adults
a
in group homes.
DDS?
Department of Developmental Services, I'm sorry.
No, I
So
just-
that's the agency.
Words we use and
I
you
use
know,
every day
jargon
and I
that
forget.
yes, we know, but some of the 6 people watching may not know. So if I stop you, I don't mean to be rude. It's just somebody would say DDS.
Sorry, that's my fault. Just comes out. Anyway, so so they'll take, but they're getting away from group homes and they're putting people in what they call shared living, which is matching them with a family and putting them in a family situation. But they don't have a lot of availability either. So that's why they're placing cases that are emergencies, or if there's their parents can't take care of them and they don't have siblings or someone that can take care of them, those are the people that get placed first.
But that's got to be tough, though. I mean, what happens if you don't have availability? You know, I'm 23, 25, I'm 40.
Go to
And
emergency respite services. They have emergency placements, but those aren't long-term, those are short-term. So, you know, there's not a lot out there. And even socially, there's not a lot out there for them, which is why we want to, and as they age, not everybody can still play basketball. We have bocce, we have bowling, but we're trying to start art programs, music programs. Would love to do like a drop-in center, you know, once a month or once a week or however, as we build the foundation and get it going. We would like to have more opportunities for the adults.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
And
just thinking.
continue to
you know,
strengthen the children programs that we have.
Again, people who are born needing a little extra help, I want to help them. A lot more than people who just decide, I don't want to work for a living.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I think of some of the people we support who have choices, who can get out there and take care of themselves, you know, compared to the kids who grew up and, you know, don't have a Xenos family.
Right, but that's the idea behind the foundation and what we want to do. We want to provide that support mechanism for them. So, you know, as Jen mentioned, not most, but some folks cannot run up and down a basketball court, cannot, you know, run around bases playing softball, cannot play football in a flag football arena. So those individuals, we would try to offer alternatives, healthy choices about eating, maybe a yoga class, some things to bring not only a healthy choice, but also some socialization to
I
them.
was going to say, I mean, I look at the kids, you know, the Best Buddies program. Those kids are loving life.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Both the typical
Yes,
and the special needs.
right.
And you can see it's normally the same faces and all, but it's wonderful. And, you know, it sensitizes
The
people.
students always say, Mrs. Walsh or Mrs. Forget or who's ever chaperoning the dance, these dances are so much more fun than our high school dances because we can just be ourselves, not worry about a thing, we have a blast and dance. And so these programs not only help our students with intellectual disabilities, but they help all kids. And that's why we want to continue to offer what we offer now, but expand the programming and do more. And because our students also need to stay healthy as they age, and they need regular exercise, and they need to know how to eat right. And if we can, you know, our dream someday would be to have a place to do all this where they can come every night and work out, or, you know, take a class on nutrition, or take a class, a social skills
Don't
class,
we have
or
that
whatever.
now in Milford? I mean, we've
A
got the youth
center.
center, we've got the senior center. Can't we use those facilities?
I think they're pretty much booked up.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
they're
you're
pretty
vying for
booked
some
up. I
time.
think, yeah.
It's
It's
tough.
hard. It's hard because there isn't a lot of space. Everything's utilized, and, you know, everything's maxed out. And so, you know, that's our eventual goal. That's a dream. And Mr. Xenos and I and the board are going to work hard at trying to get there.
Well, you know, just to kind of like take what Jennifer had mentioned about, you know, the peer buddies in school, the Best Buddies programs. Coaching in the high school with the unified teams, we've had individuals that come and play basketball and in track and field this year, and we've almost had a one-to-one kind of arrangement, which is phenomenal. And the athletes just absolutely love it, but the peers love it just as much as you had mentioned. And I'll tell you, that's a tribute to the community. It's a tribute to the school system. The folks in the town of Milford, I mean, for the Xenos family as well, you know, a year ago when Aaron passed, the community stepped up and really supported my family big time. And they were there for us, couldn't do enough for us. But that tells you what type of community Milford is. They care about people. You know, Aaron, he was at the Stacy School. His classmates put together a program which ended up being a monument for a buddy bench outside Stacy's school, and that came from his classmates in the school. Telling you that he was special to them too. But that's a community-based program. When Justin Braza actually took on his Explorer project to build the bench, what we thought initially was a wooden bench turned into a granite monument, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it will be there forever. So the community got behind that. And that's what we want to do with the foundation, is to give back to that community. We've been giving back to the Special Olympics since day one, based upon the support they gave my son, and we will continue that through with Aaron.
And again, I'll disagree a little, because I hear you say how much the students and, you know, the volunteers give to the special needs kids. I remember many moons ago when somebody called me and asked if I would do soccer. I was scared to death. I didn't know anything about special needs children, families. I was scared to death. I mean, I was blessed. I had 3 soccer teams I've coached, Emily's, Lexi's, and the mixed teams. And my parents always took such good care of me. They really watched out for me. So I said, it can't get any better than this. You know, I've had how many years of wonderful, supportive families. And then my eyes were opened to the special needs community. Unbelievable. You know, I mean, if the kids weren't doing what you asked them to do, it was because they didn't understand.
Exactly.
Never would they fight me. You know, and even when they became teenagers, I used to shake my head because I had the girls' team that I was coaching. And, you know, when they're going through their hormone fits, it became interesting a lot of times. But the special needs kids were always the most lovable, caring, and I do nothing. And the parents were like over themselves thanking me.
Well, let me tell you, look at it from 2 perspectives. First, as a parent, watching your son participate with their friends, if you went into Mark's bedroom right now and you looked on his bureau, he's got 2 things on his bureau. One is his high school diploma, which he graduated in 2001, and next to it is the picture of your soccer team, okay? And the interesting thing is, that picture is probably close to 20 years old.
Yeah.
Okay? So not to date you or
Don't
age you.
remind
Yeah,
Al.
exactly.
But he still has it,
yesterday.
and it's there. He sees it all the time. I see it every time I go in his room. But that's important to him, his friends. As a parent and as a coach, I can remember I treated Mark like I treated any of my children. We coached them the same way, okay? Learned real quick that it's a little different with Special Olympics. I wanted to win. It's the competitive nature. Guess what? They want to win too, but it ain't the most important thing in the world. It's spending the
I
time with their
learned
friends.
that the Special Olympics teams we had, we won every game. Sometimes we won with more scores than the other teams. Sometimes not so many. But the looks on their faces, you know, what you saw, my God, they made me feel so full and special that I knew I could never give back. Now my daughter, well, she'd walk on the field and they knew her passion for the kids because they would just glow. You know, I did all right with the Special Olympics teams, but when she came on the field, they just responded. You know, it was unbelievable. I mean, I always joke about that thing in Washington State, the National Special Olympics, when they were showing it on TV, and everybody's walking out, you know, just like the regular Olympics, except instead of a national flag, they're holding the pole with their state name.
Yeah.
Very stoic, very proper. And then there's one Fruit Loop, dancing and jumping. I looked at Sharon, my wife, and I said, "That's your daughter, I'll bet you." I mean, you could just see her
She
full
was
of
just
herself.
as happy to be there as they were.
Oh,
That's
of course.
the thing.
And when they zoomed in,
Yeah.
I looked and said, "I knew it was your daughter." You know, she goes, "Oh, just my daughter?" I said, "Yeah, when she's acting like a Fruit Loop, she's your daughter."
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to be at those national games and meeting people from all over the world and athletes from all over the world, and just to be a part of such a special
But Jen,
event. It
even
makes you happy.
When we used to go up to, what was it, the Governor Dumber.
yeah,
Yeah,
Dumner's
Dumber.
Academy.
What a name for a school.
Yeah.
I can go to school and be dumber.
It's called,
Well, now it's
Governor's Academy now. They took
yeah,
that
they
out.
took away the
They
dumber.
finally
They took
got
away
it.
the
They got
name,
it.
yeah.
They finally
But
got it.
it's raining. I mean, when I used to take my girls out in the rain, we got all the growling. The kids never growled. They just happy to be there and play.
And it was always
It's a-
cold. It was
Oh,
freezing
I
cold there.
hated that tournament.
And
Yeah.
they still do it. They're still going.
Same timeline and nothing.
Same time.
Yep.
So, you know, it's just amazing because I do make it a point when we talk about the programs, when I say, I got 4,500 kids in Milford schools. Not one is any more special than the other, but not one is any less special.
Exactly.
Yeah, I may not be right because there's certain kids that really tug on your heartstrings and they make you feel. I think the special part of the Special Olympics was what they made me feel like. And what I could see in my daughter, and you got her hooked since she was a little kid. She's not stopped yet.
I know. That's a good thing.
Well, if
because you need people like that that are passionate and love what they're doing. And it just it makes everything run that much smoother, and everybody's having a lot more fun.
Well, it seems like the people in Milford get it.
They sure do. Milford's a wonderful community for support.
We get a few silly people, you know, who've come up and said, "It's because you fund these programs that all these parents move here." I looked and said, "And that's a bad thing?"
Exactly. If you look at the coaches today, and then again, the programs have grown in leaps and bounds, but if you look at the nucleus of the coaches, they all grew up in the system, I'll call it. These are all student volunteers. These are all kids that could have been working, doing things, hanging out with their buddies, but instead they came and they volunteered their time to be their peers, to work with them. And I know, I mean, you know, selfishly speaking, my son does it. His assistant coach today in basketball did it, Ryan, and it goes on and on and on. And that's why, you know, we continue to give back because of what they do, and we'll pass the torch to them, and they'll be running these programs.
And
in no
honestly,
time.
when you give back, when you volunteer for Special Olympics, I feel, and this is me, that you get so much more
I
than
was
you
going to
give.
say,
You get
I'm
so
not
much more
giving
back than you give.
anything compared to
No.
what those faces
And that's what keeps people
give to
going.
me.
Yeah, that's what.
You know,
that's-
I'm totally on the seesaw. I'm way down here with what they are way up here that they've elevated me, because you just feel the appreciation, you feel the love, and they don't growl or snarl. They get knocked down or in the mud, and it's like, that's cool, and they keep going.
I had one coach who came to our powerlifting competition once, because it's for athletes with and without disabilities, so he came to compete. to the first powerlifting event we ever did, and he's never left. Came to coach our team ever since that one event, and he loves it. And now he does bowling, and then he does football.
Well,
and
I remember the time, and I won't mention the name, but one of our athletes somehow got confused and dribbled all the way down the field and put a perfect shot into our net. Everybody was quiet, and then everybody starts cheering him on because he thought he scored a goal.
We've had that happen in basketball too, haven't we, Joe?
Too many times. Too many times.
You know, and you sit there, and it was wonderful to see people cheering on. I mean, he just shot a goal into our net. Yeah, that's great. He got a goal.
He got a goal. That's right.
You know, and even much beyond that, when you know, you mentioned national games, but with state games, you know, typically it's a weekend away, and they look so much forward to that. You know, they're hanging with their buds, they're staying in a hotel room, it's great, okay? They have so much fun with that. But then they go and they compete. And they compete, for the most part, against individuals they've met in prior years. And it's like a homecoming. They love one another, they're hugging each other, and I'm like, this is your competition.
But don't underestimate the ribbon versus the medal.
Oh yeah, they know the difference.
You know, everybody says, "Oh,
no one wants a
especially
ribbon."
these kids don't know the difference."
They do.
Oh, no,
They do. They're very competitive.
Those medals
Yeah.
mean something, and it's nice because it teaches them that they've worked hard, and there's rewards to working hard. It's a heck of a life lesson.
And they overcome so many obstacles to get there. When they get that medal, just the smiles on their faces,
absolutely.
and seeing them up on the podium to receive their award, and
Oh, yeah.
they can't wait for the next one. Okay, what's the next sport? They start asking me halfway through the season when the sign up is for the next sport.
But there's no rest for the weary, because the week it finishes in this sport, the next week it's the next sport.
Yeah.
So there's no downtime. They're always busy with that.
Yeah, and it seems like a best buddies dance every other weekend
Yeah.
because it's in my calendar.
Yeah.
You
'Cause you
know,
wanna take
Miss
pictures.
Forge had put. Oh yeah. I mean, I complain about it, but you
Yeah.
know, I wouldn't miss it for anything.
And all the swimming events.
And the swimming events, and I mean, it's just everything.
Right.
And of course,
but that's what we want to do. In addition to what we're doing now, that's where the Aaron Foundation comes in to try to, all that free time we have between those things, we want to fill it
well,
up.
let's talk about that because I love the fact that I don't know how old, from age 6 or 7 to age 21.99.
2. We started age 2 now. We have a young athletes
Age
program.
2 to 21.99. You've built a heck of a program.
They go to
They have everything going on. It's a full life. And then at 22.
Well, they can still do Special Olympics.
Absolutely.
They can do Special Olympics until they're 100. We've had a golfer that was 104.
Yeah, I mean,
They can do Special Olympics the rest of their lives. That's not the issue. The issue is that as they age, you know, and not everybody's an athlete. Not everybody wants to do a sport. Some people have different interests, and as they age, the sports get more challenging for them. So we want to support other programming, and also Special Olympics is once a week. You know, we
You got
want
6
we
other
want our
days.
athletes to have a full life. We want them to have options. We want them to have the same opportunities as everybody else. So if we can provide an atmosphere for them to do that with the right support, that would be our goal.
But you think about it, at 22 years old, and I apologize, this sounds
That's okay.
terribly sexist, but what is on the mind of most teenagers and other teenagers and other 22-year-olds?
Exactly. I wasn't going to answer that, but you're right.
You know, I mean, you
I
think
would agree with that.
You know,
And that's why we need to supply them with the opportunities to network and hang out with friends and do everything that everybody else is doing at that age in a safe, supportive environment.
Right, and we want to give them the venue to do that. So, I mean, there'll be programs that we'll want to do. However, as Jen mentioned earlier, ultimately, and our dream is to have a facility, a building, something that can house a lot of these programs for them. So they're coming the same place, and they can.
so now
do
it
what
all
they need to
comes
do.
down to the Benjamins.
Absolutely.
You
It
know, at
always
the
comes
end of the
down to
day, as much as we don't want to talk about it, it all comes down to funding. We can have all these wonderful ideas. So now, tell us about this foundation and why do we have an Aaron Xenos Foundation?
Well, number one, Aaron was a huge proponent and a big advocate for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. He was one of those volunteers in Special Olympics that started this big and moved on up. He helped his dad coach in basketball, and you'd see him there at practices, you'd see him playing with the guys and just having a good time. So he was an advocate. So we want to keep his memory alive because he always had that individual who needed a friend, who didn't have what others had, and I would be there. You know, he was a very competitive individual. He was, you know, I always call him a 50-pound. He was no more than 50 pounds. At 12 years old, he played baseball in town. He played basketball in town. He was so competitive. He wasn't the greatest athlete, but he was always there. If he was doing video games, he was competitive. If I didn't let him beat me in bowling on the video, he would be upset. But he was that kind
But
of.
there's easier ways to keep a wonderful child alive in the town memory. You picked a really tough road.
Well, he wanted to keep Aaron's memory alive, and I have always wanted to expand the programming. So we were talking one day about keeping Aaron's memory alive and maybe starting a foundation, and I said, I would love to expand my programming, and we would love, and so we went back and forth and we said, let's do it together. Why do it separate? Let's do it together.
So
carry on Aaron's memory.
Talk to me about what is this foundation?
Well, what we're going with our mission statement of and the goals and objectives of the organization is to support the Special Olympics programs offered, to provide opportunities for new opportunities for these individuals, socialization, and we want to help fund that opportunity for them. Ultimately, to get a facility where we could house a lot of these.
So is this like an adult version of FOMASA?
It is.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
We have the Friends of...
We merged. FOMASA is no longer.
Oh,
FOMASA is no longer. We are the Aaron Xenos Foundation. So
Okay.
we had, the Friends of Milford Area Special Athletes merged with the Aaron Xenos Foundation. And so we'll still have our annual dinner dance. But we're doing a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So like Joe was saying, we have a golf tournament scheduled for June 1st. We're in the process of getting the registration online. And we're just, it's FOMASA on steroids.
I was
We're
just
picking
gonna
it
say
up a
that.
notch. We really want to do more, do better, do greater things for
so you're just
people
expanding the age. I know that I don't
that,
want to trivialize
no, the age
it.
has always been,
We've always
served
But I mean
service
the
from.
programs for, you didn't have a lot
No,
of
we're
programs
expanding
for...
the variety
Okay.
and the opportunities. So it's always been, always had, well, we've gone younger, but we've always gone from 6 to however old you want to compete. But now we're going from 2 to however old. But we're seeing a great need as our athletes age. We've been doing this program for 23 years, 24 years, so we're seeing some of the athletes have been with us since the beginning. We're seeing where the needs are, and we want to offer more opportunities for them and support them.
So what kind of things can you offer?
We want to offer trainings for them, and we want them to have a place where, like I said, they can work on their health and nutrition, and they can go, if they want to go every night and work out, they can go every night and work out. The Special Olympics right now is once a week. We want to offer them classes on nutrition, or maybe classes. We want to see where the needs are. Classes, maybe some of our athletes need to learn how to type, or need to learn how to cook.
Right.
Things like that.
We're going to expand that into the vocational area,
Yeah.
so we can help them,
Be
run a home.
self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient.
Yeah, exactly. Run a
And have a
home.
better quality of life. Like you say, when you're 22, a lot of it ends, and the opportunities aren't there as much as, after 22. So when, the school department does a wonderful job of giving our students all these opportunities, we want to continue it on as they age.
And what happens to an individual at that age, when they age out of school, if they're not involved in a service provider, what do they do after? They sit at home and they don't do much of anything. They don't socialize like they need to. They don't have opportunities enough to grow. So what we're trying to do is we'll try to pull them into an opportunity in a
We'd be
program.
supporting the families and the students.
Right. So it's not just the individual, it would be the whole family.
Because, I think about it, and at 22, you can't ask these kids to drive to a bar.
No,
right?
and we don't want them hanging at a bar.
Well,
That's
that's
why
what I'm saying.
we want to supply
want 'em
programming.
to be together in
Yep.
a positive, healthy environment.
Exactly,
Exactly.
100%.
But where does that exist?
That's what we're saying. I remember, so I've been doing this for a long time, but one of my first jobs out of college was running a drop-in center in Newton for the adults. And we would have different activities all the time. And, they could come if they wanted to or not. And, we'd do square dancing, we'd cook, we'd play bingo, we'd have all different opportunities depending on the night. And so, we would love to see some of that here.
I
And
just
Milford's
wonder
always
if
been
there
so
isn't.
supportive.
You remember when we wanted to do basketball for Special Olympics? And there was no courts. I remember Chris Forget moaning and groaning,
Oh yeah, we're still squished.
saying that he couldn't get a basketball court for his team.
Yeah.
Bobby Littleton down at the Evergreen Center.
Oh, he's so good to us.
Just-
Bobby
but-
Littleton is so good to us.
Bobby stood up and said, hey, wait a minute, I got a basketball court. We don't use it every night.
He gives us his soccer fields. He
Then-
gives us our cheerleading practices.
Then all of a sudden, Bobby's daughter, Brooke, and Lexi played soccer together. So it was a natural extension. They didn't send Chris down to ask, they sent Lexi down to ask. And the next thing you know, it costs him money. He's opening up his fields for our Special Olympics athletes to have a soccer field.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he does. And our flag football team and Mr. Littleton and the Evergreen Center are very, very good to us. They let us use all their fields and their gym all the time. They're very supportive.
But again, there's, how do you say, welcome to Milford? That is the essence of a Milfordian. Somebody who's looking out.
Very
and,
generous.
So many of the people, because let's face it, we fund the special needs programs totally different than almost every town around us. Years ago, we were worried, because you read in the paper that, special needs costs go up.
Yeah, they do.
And they're substantial. And you say a prayer that says, thank you for not making me need this. But the kids who need it are still our kids.
Exactly.
And we kept reading, this was a long time ago, that towns are getting squeezed because you hand the school $100. And if the special needs programs, which are mandated by law, are eating that up, you're taking it out of the I guess the politically correct word, typical kids. So now the typical parents get upset at the Xenos type families advocating for their kids. And we changed the budgeting process where we said for SPED and ELL in Milford, we budgeted real money year to year. So Kevin, tell me, and Kathy, what did you spend last year on the program? Spent $100. Okay. What are we going to spend this year? Because we got 3 new kids coming in, 120. So we budget the 120. Then we go back and tell them, now the rest of your budget, you stayed like everybody else with the 2.5%. And that keeps balance. It's going to cost us more to take care of a certain population. But it costs us more to take care of football players. You keep in perspective that we spend a lot of money keeping a football stadium for the football players. We spend a lot of money keeping a softball field for the softball players or baseball fields. So we spend a lot of money keeping our special needs athletes because they're Milford kids. So you start looking at everything we do and you wonder how else do you get money? Wouldn't it be nice to have a building? But in the meantime, can we use?
Well, and that's what we do now.
Oh,
We try
exactly. Yeah.
we try and do offer what we can. And right now we're in the building part, building the foundation and raising the funds to offer more programming. I mean, right now we're continuing on with what we have, and no problem doing that. But like we said, we want to expand and do more. And so, it'll be a step by step. It may take years to get there, but if you don't have a goal, you never get there. So, and if you don't dream big, it never happens. So we're dreaming big, right?
always came up with money.
Yeah.
Well,
It was a good group.
yeah, no, and believe me,
Joe's been on it since its inception.
As one of the founders of the FAMASA organization, we did an awful lot for the community, for the Special Olympic programs. I mean, we funded uniforms. Our guys and girls would go out there and participate. They may not be the best, but they sure look good.
Oh, they look
look good.
Absolutely.
And they have the best bus, and they have.
Absolutely. It's and that's what we want to do. We want them to feel like they belong and that they're really special. From a perspective of, hey, you're going to look good, you're going to feel good, and when you walk off that court, you're going to feel even better.
To me, the uniforms, the equipment sent a message. These are our kids.
Exactly.
Welcome to Milford. These are our kids. They may need a little extra help here or there, but we're not going to treat them any less than the kids who don't. The typical athletes get new uniforms. Why shouldn't our special athletes get new uniforms?
Oh, absolutely.
That's right, 100%. And that's the 100%.
It really sends a message about the values that people have in Milford. They're out there like any team. They're representing our town. And when they look good and their attitudes are good, it makes people think about Milford in a positive light.
I'll tell you, I grew up in the city of Boston. Milford was on the other end of the state as far as I was concerned. It was all... But being that I live in this community, I look at the kids in Milford are so fortunate. There's so many programs for the young kids to get involved with. There's every night of the week, there's football games, there's basketball games, there's baseball. The town does give an awful lot to their community.
The community use does a lot of programming.
Absolutely, and
God bless Uncle Lenny and his making sure, I mean, as silly as it sounds, making sure we got buses. You think about it, you never really value a bus.
Unless you miss one and it doesn't show up, absolutely.
Until all of a sudden you got 30 little cherubs sitting there saying, how do we get somewhere?
Right.
And there's Uncle Lenny somehow keeping it all together and keeping our buses rolling.
Right. But we would eventually want to get to a point where we can control some of those things. And that's where the facility would come and would be able to make sure that we have courts available or facilities available to help the children grow and learn their trades.
So how does an individual help this group of kids? I'm from Milford.
As far as volunteering,
I want to help.
So, well,
I could be very affluent, I would imagine, and donate. That would be welcome. But the average Milfordian isn't sitting on a $10 million bank account that they can deal out.
No, but we're always looking for volunteers. We are always looking for volunteers for Special Olympics. And we have plenty of big events coming up soon, like the swim meet, school day games, a lot of large events coming up. I am meeting tomorrow with Amazon, with some volunteers from Amazon to help. So, no, we're always looking for volunteers. Coaching-wise, we're looking for volunteers too, assistants.
So how would somebody, I want to help.
So to volunteer, they would contact me, Jennifer Walsh, at the high school. I'm at the high school, and my email is jwalsh@milfordma.com.
And if you forget who she is, all you got to do is ask for the lady who does Special Olympics.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You can call the high school.
The high
They'll
school
send you
will
right
know.
my way. Yes, they
They'll
will.
know who.
Yes.
They're not going to get lost.
No.
So, again, it's hard to say, but I was scared to death when you wrote me in. I really, not scared from my
Your daughter
side.
helped me a little bit, though.
Well, it was more, I was scared I'd let the kids down.
I know, and well, then that's what I say to people, come check it out, come hang out at a practice, come see what's involved. You know, if you don't want, if it's not for you, that's okay too. You know what I mean? But come and check it out and try it out. And I tell my families with students and children with intellectual disabilities, I said, come and check it out. You know, because sometimes the student's afraid, never been, never played a sport, they don't know what to expect. I said, they can come in and watch and check it out, or come and participate for the first night and see if they like it. We always give people that opportunity.
And you know, I remember one little kid in particular, Caleb. He wouldn't get in the water. He was scared to death to get in the pool. And somehow, Lexi,
get him in.
Just a little closer. Now, try and get him out of that water.
No, he loves to swim. He loves the water.
You know, and it's, I remember seeing Bob in the corner of the pool and how he helps all the kids.
Yeah.
You know, my grandson, he knows Bob. He's going to go swim with Bob. I just think it's wonderful.
And swimming, track and field, individual sports are a really great place to start, because the team thing is a hard concept at a young age. And then they move on from there. Like Caleb's doing soccer now, and he did our developmental sports program. But swimming was his first introduction, which is a great introduction.
And I think it was profound when you said there's something for everybody.
There is something for everybody.
You know, I may not be the fastest kid, but I can lift weights.
But we have bowling, and we have bocce, and
Bocce.
we have cheerleading, we have cycling, we have all sorts of sports.
And we're actually looking for some golfers again, too.
Yeah, golf.
We tried that. We've been down there a little bit.
Yeah, we've done golf.
Mark and I did golf, and he decided he wanted to play softball, so there goes my golf partner.
But when we went to the cheerleading, I think it was at Newton North.
Newton North, yeah, every year.
We'd go there, and you'd see these kids. They weren't flipping, but you'd think they were.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like we were joking.
They're very enthusiastic cheerleaders.
We were joking about how when you have Milford kids on stage at the high school, this is better than Broadway. You know, maybe not objectively, but when I see our kids, you know, one of our 4,500 up
I
on
know.
that stage, this is much better than Broadway. When you see the, you know, granddaughter Xenos, grandson Xenos, how can you not think this is better than Oscar night when they're in a play?
Oh, yeah, it's the best.
So it's the same thing when you see these cheerleaders. Oh my God, you would think they're competing for the nationals.
And they compete at Gillette, too, once a year, and they love that.
So tell me the range of activities that are open.
So we have soccer, flag football, bowling, basketball, powerlifting. We have swim, track and field. We have volleyball, which is a new one. We have bocce, softball, and cycling.
Wow.
There's a fair amount of
My
things.
daughter invited me to go to track and field. She wanted me to be the goalie for the javelin team.
There you go.
We don't have javelin. It's not one of the activities in our track
Probably
and field
not
team.
the safest sport.
We have
to-
a turbo jav.
We have and we do that
But
in
not
high
a
school.
javelin. We
Right.
have the
And
turbo
we do
jav,
that in the unified.
which is a huge Nerf javelin that we used in Special Olympics and in unified sports.
In unified sports, we use it.
Now, a lot of people don't understand what unified sports means.
So it's students with and without disabilities competing on the same team. And at Milford High, Mr. Boucher has really helped us build the unified sports program. So now that we have 3 sports up there that are unified, basketball, track and field, and bocce, and we play against other high schools. Mr. Xenos coaches 2 out of the 3 of those. He coaches the basketball and the track and field. And it's really grown, like he said. You know, initially it was something new. It took a little bit. And then now, I mean, he had a huge showing for basketball and track this year.
Yeah, track. I mean, we were the South Division sectional champions, and that was competing against other high schools across the whole South section.
And the state unified track and field meet is always held at Milford High. So it's held at Milford High every May, the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge event. The schools come from all over the state. There's probably 600 unified athletes competing.
You know, I love watching Unified because to me there's an incredible life lesson there. Because some of these athletes, the typical kids, they could really shine. You know,
Well,
and
you know,
you don't see 'em-
And you see coaches recruiting our Special Olympic athletes for their track teams because they're amazed at what happens and what goes on, and that they haven't seen before. I've had them steal from my unified track team before.
But you know, I think of the basketball kids, the typical kids. Some of them are really good players,
Absolutely.
but you don't see them trying to dominate. You see them winning by helping.
Well, because unified basketball right now is developmental, so it's supposed to be about teaching and learning and being there to support your fellow athletes. There is a unified competitive program, but right now we're not.
But if you look at the traditional side of the fence with basketball, there are individuals that, you know, very high functioning, they play tremendously well. But instead of taking and doing it all, they'll bring the lower functioning guy along, they'll pass the ball, and they'll make sure they get shots and everything else.
Well, tell them about your last game in Franklin.
Well, we had our I forget what
End of the season
yeah,
tournament. Yeah.
we played at Franklin High School, and we played Franklin High School, we played Sharon High School, and our goal going there, we were playing 3 games. Our goal wasn't to win any one of the games. Our goal was that everyone on our team, every athlete, was to get a basket. That was our goal.
They did it.
And everyone got a basket. And these are some individuals that when we started out couldn't lift the ball up enough to get it to the basket. And they actually got it in the basket at that. So that's the persistence, that's the perseverance to do that. And it's tremendous. And you talk about happy, and you talk about parents being so proud of their child. The parents would attend games, very supportive. It was tremendous.
But Joe, you made my night when you talk about that scrappy little team of soccer kids and how one child still remembers that group of kids. That's fantastic. I don't know how to describe it. You're sending chills up my back thinking about how wonderful that is.
Well, it's just, you know, that was a special time in his life. He embraces that, and he doesn't forget. I mean, he walks around town, he sees everyone, he remembers people. I'm horrible at it, and he knows their names, he knows the whole 9 yards, and he is so good about that. But that was special to him, as is all his friends. That's why, you know, you talked about giving back and getting. That's why I wanted to give back, because I know what he was getting. And that's the important lesson for me and for my family about what this community, what Milford does for the folks that work here, live here. They're very fortunate.
And now, even in the high school, a couple years ago, the mayors of the Prospect Heights, we get together, and every year we do a project. And Mingus Rhoda came and said, you know, we've got enough tombstones with our names on it. You know, these monuments with all the mayor's names. He says, I'd like to do something for the kids. So, you know, we're immediately thought about,
Yeah.
okay, I know a group of kids that could really use some recognition. But the school rallied around, and if you've gone to the cafeteria, I know you have, there is a gorgeous trophy case. And what's in it?
It's filled with
It's all I was
trophies
gonna
and
say, it's almost
pictures.
full.
It's filled.
You know, and
We're rotating out.
when we see how many times he said, look, Mr. Korea, look, that's mine. Or look, that the pride that these special athletes have, that here's their trophies. And the town is saying, you're special enough that we want to put you right dead center in front of the cafeteria so nobody can go by without seeing it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it is beautiful. We see it every day. I think we need another one. But I got to tell you, coaching basketball, the student body of the high school supports the unified basketball team. When we have home games, the stands are full with students. I mean, and there's from other teams, you know, within the Milford community, but it's really supported very well. And our athletes are so proud. They walk down the hallways like they own the place. And I guess they do.
They do.
But You know, they're just,
And what more could you want from any Milford kid than to walk down the hallway in Milford High and feel like they own the place? Feel that the whole community is behind them. I mean, that's a great life lesson.
absolutely.
They learn a lot of wonderful life lessons participating in Special Olympics and the other programs that Milford offers. It does give them a lot of confidence.
It sure
A lot of
does.
social skills, a lot of opportunities. I had kids going to Washington for nationals that never been on a plane before.
Well, I'm thinking back when that high school was built, we never had any of these programs. I mean, I was never asked to go with special needs kids and take advantage of their love and spread it to me and maybe give back. I'll never give back as much as they gave me.
You know, one of the memories that I mean, I've got a number of them, but, you know, and my son, Mark, was part of a lot. I mean, he threw out the first pitch at Fenway Park.
Oh, wow.
How many individually, I wish I could do that. I couldn't do that. But our basketball team was selected to play at halftime, Boston Garden, Celtics, between, you know, halftime and a Celtics game. And I can remember Jen telling me that, Joe, your team got selected. We have an opportunity to do that. And it's a 7-minute game. And it's like, okay, 7 minutes. So I'm like, okay, we're going to take 10 athletes, dress them, get a bus, bring them down there. And we were there 4 hours before the game. And it was like, wow, for 7 minutes. And you wonder, is it worth it? And I got to say, it was really worth it. But we got there, and the kids were just watching the professionals shoot around. And then we went in the locker room, and we said, okay, here's how the whole thing's going to stage. We initially went up, we were in the nosebleed sections way at the top. And we're all standing there, and we had to go down at like 2 minutes into the second period, so we go down and get dressed and ready to play. So we get up together, and people are looking around. There's a group of 20 folks get up, and we walk out. And then they realized at halftime, when they saw us participating in the court, that that's what we were. They got a visit by Casey Jones. He came into the locker room. It was great. We did well. Most of our team scored a basket in the 7 minutes. It was so well worth it, unbelievable. But the biggest thing was when we finished, they sent us back up to the nosebleed section. We all went up there, and the whole crowd stood up, standing ovation for our athletes.
Yes.
I mean, that was worth the price of admission, I'm telling you. It's unbelievable. Never forget that.
All I can say is another gem here at the center of the universe. If you can't remember Jen Walsh or Jay Walsh at milfordma.com, just call the high school and ask for the Special Olympics lady. They'll find her. And I can't emphasize enough, they gave me, and I'll speak for people I don't even know that were coaching, these athletes give you a heck of a lot more than you'll ever give them. It's just unbelievable. So if you have any kind of time, come on down, get involved, and enjoy, because that's what this is all about. And you'll know that you're helping a child become an adult, be more self-sufficient, and be a proud Milfordian. So as always, thank you.
Thank you for the
you.
opportunity.
Remember the Aaron Xenos Foundation. You can help by volunteering, or you can always throw money. And to the 6 loyal viewers, may God bless. May tomorrow be a better night than tonight. Good night.
Not too long since I've been home. Been running all my life just searching for my soul.